Hey guys, so here's a quick review for the movie Tolkien. I will explain more at the end why this video is going to be so short. So let's just jump in and just talk about what's my thoughts about Tolkien. For those who have been watching this channel for a little bit, you guys might already know, but I'm a Tolkien fan. I just love the author. He's awesome. He's a role model of mine. This is a quick review based off of someone who knows about the life of Tolkien, who really did research for like a couple years on the life of Tolkien, and then wrote a speech on it. Now, sadly, there was only a 10-minute speech. You can't really get all of his story down in 10 minutes, but I mean, even with this movie, like a 2-hour movie, and they still could only get like the first little part of his life in, and they really skipped over a lot to get this movie together. But anyways, so I'm just going to talk about some negatives starting out. Negatives would be some of the changes they made to the original story is kind of off in my mind. I don't like some of the changes they made. Some of the characters, person they got for Tolkien's mother, I felt no connection with her, and which was really sad because I mean Tolkien's mother was a big part of his life in his early years, and I thought that was really sad that they, I don't know, they kind of were trying to, but it's just maybe the actress they got was kind of cringy. Didn't really like her. There's like some other changes like they made because it's a movie, One example of a thing that was kind of changed for movie standards, and I kind of didn't like, was they made it so Tolkien didn't get married to Edith until after the war, and it was just like they reconnected right before the war, and then he went off to war. In real life, what happened was they were already married. They got married, and then he got shipped off the war, and so he already had a wife to come back to after the war, and she was like a big support to him right after he came back from the war. So I didn't really like it how they made that change, because I just felt like it was to Hollywood adding their own ideas in, and like you can't have it so he's just married before he goes off the war. I get it, they're trying to make it more dramatic, but I don't know. I didn't really like that change. One of the big lessons you have in this story is that of the big thing they push at is friendship. The whole story is about friendship. This is not just telling the life of Tolkien. This is telling about his life, the TBCS, and his life with these brothers of his, and the friendship they grew with their club. But the beginning really it didn't do as much of that. They kind of they did set up some stuff, but it wasn't until like maybe half an hour or so into the movie when you got to meet the other characters in the TCBS that you really got to what the whole story was about friendship, and the elements they had of the love story and stuff worked in with. They wasn't like taking over, and wasn't like making it a love story or changing the theme. The theme was about his friendship with these people, and the very end of the movie was about. It was like one of the last words of the movie was him like, yes, it's about friendship. This book he was writing was about friendship.
A fellowship.
The beginning felt a little bit out of focus. It kind of wasn't until a little bit into the movie that we finally got the feeling of like this is like the connection. Now get into some good. The visuals in this movie is really, really good. I really liked the visuals in this movie. It was like top notch. The music was awesome. The story. Yeah, they were going off of the life of Tolkien, and they did a really good job. I think that's one of the best things I can say about this movie is they did a really good job honoring the life of Tolkien, even if they did make some changes. Just like I have said with the Lord of the Rings. Even while I get annoyed at some stuff in the Lord of the Rings, I still think the Lord of the Rings is my favorite trilogy because of the reason that they honored Tolkien enough. And the changes they made, I could kind of understand. Some of the changes they made. Some of them. Now, my mother, who's also a Tolkien fan, cannot understand some of the changes, but she's coming from just like, she's a Tolkien fan. Where I'm coming from, I'm a Tolkien fan, and I'm someone who's fascinated with and really want to help people and just help myself understand more of what filmmaking is like, how screenwriting works, so I can understand why some of this stuff happens and why they had to make some changes in Lord of the Rings. And the same thing with this movie. I do understand some changes, but some changes just didn't work. Even though it's based off of the life of Tolkien, the changes they made in some cases were really good and really helped the story, and I couldn't understand why they made some of those changes. Again, as I've mentioned before, I really like the messages in this of friendship, fellowship, finding the people you love. I think one of the greatest ones, and I watched this movie over the weekend, and every single time I watch it, I always get in the mood to try to write, some languages, do something like that. Like, I kind of want to be getting into that stuff and like really like make more in depth my stories, because I'm like, there's gonna have to be languages and stuff like that. Every single time I watch this movie, I get hyped again to be like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna write my books. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, because the fact of the matter is, this movie does a great job with like. I love the whole things with a like big like lesson in this is like Tolkien learning that language is more than just sounds. It's the meaning behind it. I mean, touch, hand, oak, all this stuff like has deeper meanings than just the word hand. Like, I mean, yeah, hand by itself is just a hand. Hand in the way of this is a human hand that you can touch, you can hold. Another thing is this movie is hilarious. It also has some really like heartwarming and some really sad moments too. This movie is great for anyone who's a Tolkien fan, anyone who is fascinated with writing and doing stuff like that, because the fact of the matter is this movie is just absolutely filled with moments that just like give you hype for like, man, I want to write, I want to be able to create languages and do stuff like that. Like, I want to be able to learn like Tolkien did on these languages and all. I find this like absolutely thrilling. This movie is well shot, well put together. The visuals is awesome. The music is awesome. But I think my favorite part about this movie is that it was so good. Even with the changes they made, the changes they made sometimes were annoying, but I can understand why they made these changes. But for the most part, they stayed accurate to the character of Tolkien. And I ran into people, again, I will talk about this in my longer video, but I ran into people who has had problems with movies and said they don't like it because of this and that and all those things. I'm like, well, to be honest, if you do more research on Tolkien, that makes sense why, yeah, I get it. They put this in for like a more drama, like. For some of that stuff, I would be like, yeah, I could see Tolkien actually saying that in that moment where he's just like, he's upset or something like that. I recommend that you guys, if you guys haven't seen it, especially if you're a Tolkien fan, watch this movie. They do a very good job. The casting is good. They do a really good job of just like staying accurate to who Tolkien was. I was trying to make this shorter at the time of recording this. This is around 15 minutes. It's not going to be that long. Hopefully I can cut it down. I wanted to try to put out a really, really short recap and not really go into much detail in this recap. Just talk about it really quickly because I want to test out whether it's better to make shorter videos and see if that gets more audience, or whether I should put out longer videos and see if that gets more audience. Hopefully we can get a good estimate on what's going on with this by the end of the week. Hopefully I can put up more videos this week. I would strongly recommend you guys watch this. As a big fan of Tolkien, I give it like maybe 15 thumbs up or something. I don't know how would we rank it. It's a really good, like these people really did a good job just saying we want to honor Tolkien with this movie. So again, strongly recommend you guys check it out. If you guys haven't yet, please subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Movie Night Review. Peter Ware signing off.